Hi everyone, hope you're having a lovely day. It's Vanessa here from very rainy Brisbane in Australia. I wanted to share this beautiful painting that I'm working on that's taken me so by surprise in so many ways. And it started off, it's quite a big painting, about 1.2 meters by I think about 60 centimeters. And I ended up painting it landscape. I first envisaged that I'd be painting a portrait, but not a portrait, but a portrait positioning. However, things take their course, and very unusually, when I put my foundational mediums on, in this case it's the fibre paste, normally I sort of put sections of it and then it just, maybe with crackle paste, and I just allow something to come together as it comes together. But in this instance, very unusually, I had actually made a full circular kind of face, torso, and bottom region, and all of these huge wings. They were all mapped out with the fibre paste for this butterfly, both sides. And then while that was of course drying, I just began to drip paint and start one side of it and allow things to formulate. And then I realized that I had been covering the wings, and I was like, oh, okay, well, I didn't think too much of it. And then the other side has quite a lot of pastels and very different shades. The lighting's not so great when I stand back, so I'll zoom back in a minute. And then days later, I did some more work on it, still hadn't really done anything with the central butterfly. And then a couple of days passed, and then I was told, okay, you need to paint the entire centerpiece of the woman, the butterfly, into the almost like this forest-like energy in metallic gold, which was quite unusual because I don't do a lot of that in beginning stages. I usually add gold, silvers, coppers, bronzes as accents, and there's other purposes. But I got this sense of deep stability and a whole new recalibration and structure with this gold. The other thing too that I found was really interesting is that because with fibre paste, it's sort of an off-white on an off-white canvas, so I can't really see a lot of things, and it was 5 or 6 o'clock at night that I prepared this. And with my vision situation, there's just often things I do not notice at all. But if you can see up here on the face, the way the fibre paste had, formulated little peaks, there was actually like this perfect little eyebrow bits, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's so amazing. Everything seemed to just come together. And so yeah, after I did this gold, I kind of realized that there was not really, you weren't going to notice the wings unless, you placed your hands on and you kind of felt them all and you could see all the indentations. But it didn't matter because it was about the foundations, and I knew that I would tell a story. And then I kept adding, and all of these beautiful resource frequency codes, and then these antennae frequencies came through yesterday. And I just finished a channeling with my team this morning that was talking about things in my life, journey that I've been on, and what's coming up, what's next with the art. And they were actually talking about something really specific to do with the antennae frequency of the viewer and receiver of the people that work with my art. And I just thought that was amazing. And I was telling a friend, and then I started laughing because I was like, oh my gosh, now it makes sense why we have these multiple antennae. And as we are being switched on in our DNA coding from so much that's been switched off, I really felt the essence of this painting come to life, which is why I'm now making a video. And then so just going back a little bit now, days later, after sort of painting the gold and not really knowing what would become of the painting, and the fact that so much of the wings were covered up, I just allowed that to be. But what she said to me was, and it kind of came through in a dream-like state, she said, I am to be called, you no longer need your wings. And as I sat with that, I got such a deep understanding of you know, how often our wings are there to support us, to help us through chapters, but you know, think of dusty curtains that get clogged and weighted down, and sometimes we wrap our wings around us to protect ourselves, protect our heart. There's a lot of veins and heart frequency here. And, you know, sometimes we have to let our wings go and completely, utterly go and leave us. And the gold representing to be able to stand in our sovereignty and our frequency from a really profound state of our own awareness, truth, how far we've come, what we've been through, knowing that we actually will be okay no matter what, whether we've got a health issue, we've got a crisis, we don't understand something, we're dismantling, we are able to be solid with this beautiful flow through our veins, through our heart. And when I was putting the fiber paste on in the beginning, again, without realizing, because I'm so in my zone, I must have just got the bottom of my paintbrush and I just started sort of making these, you know, movements through here. And then it wasn't till days later when I had put the gold on that I realized that, you know, because this is really the left side of her, that it actually was creating this beautiful pathways and passageways through the heart. And sort of little heart areas seem to come together in the painting. Sometimes I think, is it a bit corny having these hearts? But they kind of sort of show up themselves. Like there's another one. There's the magenta, you know, drips down and there's like these waterfall frequencies all connecting to each other. So this one isn't fully finished as at the time of creating this video, but I just found it really amazing that each painting reveals so much as it's being done, and then there's so many resources within all these different geometrics that I paint. I know that they are not limited by time and space, and they're particular encoded frequencies. Each color represents something particular for the viewer, the receiver, and where their antennae is at the time. This is connected to the mother arc. I mean, just this section alone, I'm like, oh, the beautiful colors. And the other thing too that I'm learning is I started to paint over a whole section that I'd done here yesterday, and I was like, why did you do that? It was so lovely the way that it was, but it just sort of happens, like it's almost involuntary. And oh, I just realized there's like a heart, there's another heart frequency here, which literally in its shaping. And you know, I don't plan that. But yeah, I painted over here yesterday. You can kind of see some areas underneath. There's like these ribbons, they're like plasma frequencies. And the next minute I found myself doing these ribbons and I was like, oh, I don't really like that. I don't even know if I want that. But there was something that said, you just need to leave that. And it may be that I leave it, do some kind of formulation from a frequency point of view for a day or a week or, you know, what is it, almost 24 hours later. And I do paint over it. But it's just allowing that process. And I love the amazing learning that comes with everything, to trust it and get out of that, well, I don't really like the way that looks, because that could be there for a very particular reason for someone's body, mind and soul when they see that, when they feel the resonance of it. There's another heart frequency there that I've just noticed. So yeah, I'm loving the texture in this, loving the learning, beautiful waterfalls of light and these incredible free-flowing veins. So this one also connects very much with the cardiovascular system, the heart energy, the heart network. There's also a connection here to the small intestine and heart in Chinese medicine. And a deep sense of peace and centeredness with being freed up from the old wings, freed up from the old ways of being and beingness, to stand fully in the essence. But there's also movement. There's not a static energy. That's what I'm getting so far, so I thought I would share that with you. let me know how it resonates with you. Lots of love.